together this morning acknowledging that we worship and live on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Attawandaron, and the Waida peoples. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaty. Let us prepare for worship. pray after we hear the song together, right? Our scripture reading this morning is Jesus' commandment in the fourth gospel to love one another. So Jesus comes. How many people know how many commandments there were before Jesus? 10, right? There are 10 commandments that Moses has brought down from the mountain, right? And Jesus comes in and he kind of wipes all of those aside. And somebody asks him, what is the most important commandment? And Jesus, early in his ministry, says to love your God and to love your neighbor as yourself. 2. And at the end of the fourth gospel, in the book of John, before Jesus ascends back into heaven after the crucifixion, he says, love one another. There's a new commandment that's passed down through Jesus. And it's different. Because instead of saying, love the people like yourself, love the people who look and think like you, love the people who practice the same faith as you, Jesus says something different. He says, love one another. It's a blanket statement. It means everybody. It's how we get along in the community. It's the stuff we learn to appreciate that makes us different, that we have to love. And that's the trickiest part. So, this song is called Flowers Are Red. And it's about a little boy who goes to school for the first time. And he has a difference of opinion than his teacher does. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. Maybe in parenting too. But I like this song.
Your son marches to the beat of a different drummer, Helen. But don't worry, we'll have him joining the parade by the end of the term. Grand
What do you think? Good? Yeah? What do you think happens with the little boy? Is there a better way? Right? Your face got really absurd all of a sudden when the little boy started to agree with the first teacher.
Not right.
It's not right. Why not?
Because he's being a bad teacher by sending him to the corner for not receiving.
Right, for not receiving her, right? Not for sending him to the corner necessarily. If he was being cheeky, then maybe, right? But what's the problem? Is everybody the same? No. Right? Does we have to do things the same as everybody else? No. So we're going to look at a story that kind of says the same thing. This is a story called Red by Michael Hall, and it's called A Crayon Story, which reminded me of this song because it's all about coloring with crayons. He says, what? Uh-oh, says the little crayon. He was red. But what? Yeah. Right in my face. But he wasn't very good at it. Uh-oh. His teacher thought he needed more practice. I'll draw a red, it's going too fast. There we go. I'll draw a red strawberry, then you draw a red strawberry. You can do this, really. But he couldn't, really. Like this? Oh my, let's try it again, says the teacher. His mother thought he needed to mix with other colors. Why don't you go out and draw a nice round orange? A really big one. A really orange one. But they made a big greenish one. Yuck. Oops. His grandparents thought he wasn't warm enough. Your class is making so tortured for parents night. Wear this warm red scarf. Nice. It's so you. The other silver and gray. I thought that was funny. The grandparents. But it so wasn't. So we have crimson and violet and olive and silver and gray. Oh dear me. There's a blue crayon with a blue scarf where red is. Everyone seemed to have something to say. Orange said, sometimes I wonder if he's really red at all. The hazelnut color said, don't be silly, it says red on his label. The cocoa bean says, he came that way, from the factory. And fuchsia said, frankly, I don't think he's very bright. Grape said, well, I think he's lazy. And army green said, right, he's got to press harder. Steel gray says, really apply himself. Sunshine says, give him time, he'll catch on. And the sea green said, of course he will. But he didn't catch on. The green drew a green frog, and the black drew a black sheep, and the brown drew a brown cow, and the red drew a red axe, a blue ant. All the art supplies wanted to help. The masking tape thought he was broken inside. This will help you hold you together, and put tape around him. And the scissors thought that his label was too tight. One snip should do it. I thought he wasn't sharp enough. But the pencil stay still now and sharpened him up. But even with all our help and all our hard work, he drew blue hearts and blue cherries and blue foxes and blue toenails. that's the way things are. But what about a purple flower? And what if we've never seen a purple flower before? What if all we've seen are red flowers? Is that weird? Do we tell the purple flowers that they should really be red? Because otherwise they're not a flower? No.
Tulip.
The tulip, could be, right? Tulips come in all kinds of different colors. We have tulips. We have tulips growing out front. Right? Tulips. Yeah. Yay, clever. This is what Jesus is talking about. Right? How do we start to love one another, even when we're different? Even when what we think of somebody isn't really what's on the inside, right? Because sometimes we get those patterns in our head. Well, so-and-so is red, and that means he should draw red strawberries and red fire darts and red cherries and red lips and red toenails, right? Why? Is it because what we think he should be doing, or is it what we know him to be? What we think he should be doing, right? All of those things make it difficult for us to love what is actually there. And as soon as somebody pointed out that the red was actually blue, all of a sudden everything was fine, and people felt permission to love him, right? And he was celebrated. We can do that in everyday life all the time, right? Why don't we like the person with the other? We light the Christ candle as a reminder that Jesus Christ is the light of the world. Jesus is our friend who loves us always. Let's sit down and pray as our Savior told us or taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. All right, your task today, because it's such a beautiful gorgeous day out, we have this paint set. It's sidewalk chalk paint, which I thought was pretty cool. So, I'd like you guys to take your to the parking lot and make a picture of something that you learned about this morning. Work as a team and make it representative of what we're about, of loving one another. Pink cat. That would work. All right, I'll do it.
haven't yet, please send out. There's Thursday and Friday, and she might need a little bit of help on Saturday too. So pick a day, any day, it would be much appreciated. Do you have anything to add?
Pardon?
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, talk to me after I've talked.
There you go.
Someone's already done it.
Also, if you haven't seen, there will be an announcement in next week's bulletin. Renee is doing a organ recital. Renee is a young woman who practices here in the sanctuary. She's homeschooled in the village, and she's taking lessons in London, organ lessons, and she comes in to use the organ in practice throughout the week. So she'll be doing an organ recital with the Mennonite Men's Choir. The poster's on the bulletin board, you can check it out. But it would be lovely to go and support her that weekend. So the first weekend of June. Let us profess our faith as we find in the New Creed. Say, we are not alone. We live in God's world. We believe in God, who has created and is creating, who has come in Jesus, the Word made flesh, to reconcile and make new, who works in us and others by the Spirit. We trust in God. We are called to be the church, to celebrate God's presence, to live with respect in creation, to love and serve others, to seek justice and resist evil, to proclaim Jesus crucified and risen, our judge and our hope, in life, in death, in life beyond death. God is with us. We are not alone. Thanks be to God. Let us pray. Holy God, full of grace, hear our prayer. We come to you in worship, sharing the good news, bringing all that lay heavy on our hearts to lay at your feet. Help us to learn how to fall into your care and compassion, for all too often we let ourselves be taken by the moment. A harsh word spoken, tempers flared, anger and mean-spiritedness that are allowed to overrule kindness and love. We know there is a better way. In this time of relative ease and peace, how do we treat one another better? In this time removed from the reminders of how precious life and relationships are, remind us to follow in the love we have been shown. You have called us to walk in love, to love you and love our neighbor as ourselves. You called us to feed your sheep, to love one another. Remind us through the power and love of the Christ in whose name we pray. Amen. Friends, hear this good news, the love of God beyond measure, and you all are included in that love, knowing that you are forgiven and thus free to love and serve. Amen. Let's join together in singing hymn number 232 in Voices United, Joyful, Joyful, we adore thee. 31 to 35, a new commandment. Like I said with the kids, this new commandment is Jesus' kind of revolutionary, radical way of thinking. This blanket statement. No longer is the covenant between Jews and God, that Abrahamic tradition. Jesus understands in a new way that not one versus another is welcome into the kingdom, but all. And from here, he teaches us how to love one another through his ministry, through working with people, as he goes and sits with sinners, as he goes and eats with tax collectors, as he pardons a woman caught in adultery. There are these patterns that start to radicalize the way people are thinking about this new person on the scene. This guy, Jesus, who is turning things up and saying, Jesus, that's not how we're used to doing things. And it challenges and starts to push back on the status quo, on the rules and regulations of how we function and act in society. The Gospel of John. When he had gone out, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man has been glorified, and God has been glorified in him. If God has been glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself, and will glorify him at once. Little children, I am only with you a little longer. You will look for me, and as I have said to the Jews, so now I say to you, where I am going, you cannot come. I gave you a new commandment, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. You also should love one another. But this everyone will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another." The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
By this everyone will know you. The community at large started to recognize, to see those are Christians we know by the way they love one another. If love is understood as acting toward one another, as God acted towards the world, and as Christ acted towards his disciples, then love is not simply a feeling. Love is rather a verb. It's speaking and doing and being for one another. It is a practice and a way of being, not a thing. And it fails to translate when we talk about being in love rather than loving. We have this thing we are wrapped up in, participating in, and doing. It is not something that happens to us only. It is a relationship. It's a give and take. It is a doing and a being. This passage represents God's inclusiveness in a new way. How does love change the world? Holy, inclusive community calls us to exercise our best thought and care for one another. Inclusivity in authentic community. In that way, what is it that we do to help one another, to be, to live in authentic hospitality, not just doing for the sake of doing, not doing because we're told to do it, but doing out of a motivation that we know and appreciate, that comes to center at the core of our being. What motivates us to be good Christians in the world? Is it a dictum, or is it something we are called and drawn to do? Because it fills us as much as it fills another. There was a good question that I read, and it's how do we hinder God whenever we refuse to best serve? To be intentionally welcoming and make choices that assume our group's interests rather than God's interests. How do we hinder God when we put ourselves first? Here's what I think, here's my opinion, here's how we should do it. And another group says, well, here's what I think, here's how we should do it. And the two, nary the twain shall meet. And God's rule, if we follow God's call, might see those groups coming together, to merge into one, to understand one another, to see that maybe the long-term goal
another mile down the road is the same. It challenges us to surrender our tendency of making our tribe, faith, or self the center instead of God. Because Christianity in itself, those followers of Jesus, challenge otherness. And otherness is a really neat thing. We have everyone who is a disciple of Christ, who was once on the outside, are now welcomed in. And it's through no merit of their own that they are welcomed in. It's a beautiful call to the people to come and follow Jesus. So in groups and out-groups. In-groups are the things like we have here, and we have in-groups and out-groups in this congregation. And we have people who fit one generation and people who fit another generation. People who might be farmers and people who are not farmers. We have these ways of distinguishing one another that set us apart into people we identify with and people who we struggle to identify with. We have men and women in groups and out groups. Well, this is a women's only club or a men's only club. And how does that distinguish and push people apart versus drawing them together? And that's not to say those distinguishing features aren't important. But when they hinder us is when they get in the way of allowing us to love one another. When we see the wall of otherness before we see the inclusivity of love in Christ. So it's us and them, same and different. And if you've ever read the Dr. Seuss book, you might know stars upon stars, the Phoenicians on the beaches. One group has stars on their bellies, the other group doesn't, and because the other group doesn't, they're ostracized from the community, even though otherwise they look the same. They're all Phoenicians. We are called to love one another, even in the things we do differently. So they talk funny, they don't know what they're doing, they're not trained the way we are, they're not capable. And it's easy to label and ostracize in those ways when we don't understand. But what if it was the other way around? What if we were suddenly in their shoes? What if we went for dinner in their house? And what would they say about us when we left? The same, different. There was an interesting moment I had working in retail. You get people coming to the counter, and in Canada, in this diverse community that we own and celebrate, you have people who are coming who speak English fluently, people who look like they would never speak English, and people who are struggling because this is a new language and a new culture and community for them, and they've bravely ventured out to order a coffee. Well, I have two stories. When I went to Germany, I did okay, and most people there speak English very well. So if you're really stuck and they hear you struggling a little bit, they ask you if English might be better or another language. And you can often say, my German isn't very good. Do you speak English? And yes, then you carry on. They say, well, why do you struggle in German if you speak English? Well, out of respect and out of consequences, this is the country, this is the language you speak. But I ran into this young woman at a grocery store, and I was picking something up from the pastry counter. And this poor young girl behind the counter, I struggling. And so often when we jump to, they don't know, they're incompetent, they're not capable, they're not trained, they don't understand. And we've all of a sudden turned the scales and put ourselves on this higher platform, and them at the bottom rung. And we think, wow, what are you doing in this place when you can't function? Are you a contributing member to our society? And the thing we have to understand is to flip that around and say, how are they struggling? How can I help them? How can I love this person into the fulfillment of what they are and what their potential is? And to know that they came from a country where they were at ease, where they could communicate and talk and get what they needed to get around, to use the bus, to know where they're going. And all of a sudden they've been dropped in this place where they don't speak the language. It's an entirely different culture. There are all these ways of asking and being that are foreign. And we feel out of place, and we feel less than, and we feel incompetent. And it makes me think, the best relation I can think of is being at a fancy dinner party for the first time. And you see it in movies, and if it's never happened to you, and you get the spread, and there are 18 different forks and 3 different glasses, and what the heck do you use when? I don't know. And people just nudge you and say, we're from the outside in. But then they skip something. And suddenly people are leaving forks, and forks are being taken away, and you don't know what's going on or what to do, and you don't want to look like a fool. And so we have to learn. And you remember the first time and that feeling of sudden panic. And as children and adults, we have to fumble our way through, prepared or not prepared. What do we eat when? What do we eat first? Which bread plate is mine, on the right or on the left? And you don't want to drink out of your neighbor's water glass, that's awkward. And if the waiter goes around and puts napkins on my lap, or do I put my napkin on my lap? And you look at the plate, you look inexperienced, you feel inexperienced, and you feel foolish. But we have to remember the reversal of sides. Everybody has been there, everybody at one time or another has learned something that they were entering into in an ignorant manner. And if we reverse the tide, then we were to be served a meal in Japan and sit on a low stool and being asked to take off our shoes. A kaiseki meal at a low table on a low bench. How do we sit? Do we sit cross-legged? All the men are sitting cross-legged, but if you're a woman, you sit with your legs to the side. How do we sit? Shoes on or off? What do we say at the beginning of the meal? What do we say at the end of the meal? How do nurses nurse a Hindu man? How do they come and try and nurse us? And when we call them foolish or incompetent because they're nursing in the way that they know how, in the way that's culturally appropriate. How do we feed our Jewish guests that we've invited to dinner? What can touch what? All those things that are different. And if we do it and we don't do it, if we do it without thinking, how can we inadvertently offend? Being the majority in our culture, in our nation, the privilege can lead us to see different as incapable. It can lead us to hear an accent correlated with ineptitude. That which we do not know can make us very uncomfortable. And it's not bad. It's not a bad thing that we get into those uncomfortable situations because we are programmed to do that. We are programmed to be biologically discerning about who is on our side as little infants. People who look like you and sound like you are familiar. It makes us comfortable and it makes us feel safe. We learn to recognize our family and our tribe. And to have hesitancies when it's not that way. And that's okay. But as we grow and mature, we learn otherwise. We have to teach ourselves out of that programmed mindset. And even that which is not so extreme, our friends and our neighbors, the grocery store clerk, or the homeless man on the street corner. The person who rolled through the stop sign and pointed it at you like it was your fault for running the stop sign when you started to go at the right time. Might send us over the edge.
into the world that reflects and advances that person's deepest values and most impassioned dreams, in turn adding creative, intellectual, and spiritual fuel to the shattered fire of the relationship. It comes from a newsletter I subscribe to called Brain Pickings, and I thought it was perfect this morning when it flooded in and made a nice little addition. But it is that we are all individuals. We are all distinguishable and discernibly different. How do we come together in relationship? The freedom to be loved and to love. Jesus here isn't talking about romantic love, just as Paul isn't talking about romantic love when he voices his 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient. Love is kind. It is not envious or boastful. We understand that we apply it to marriages and romantic relationships, but what if we turn it around and do it in the intention as it was originally intended, in congregation, in relationships? Jesus is changing the world through the simple act of inclusion, of recognition. In casting aside judgment and hierarchy, it puts us on a more equal playing field. Love one another. Feed my sheep. But what does it mean? It means that when we act out of love, there is a triumph over the negative. There is a triumph over revenge and the effects of anger. It doesn't mean that we don't feel pain or anger or frustration or misunderstanding, but rather we do not act out of those things. We act out of love. We take time to understand. We take time to consider a difference in perspective. We take time to contemplate that we cannot fully know another's experience or perspective. We take time to see it from a different angle. We take time to put aside our initial reaction of hurt or anger and instead stop to consider. Consider the child that has broken the rules and is not trying to break rules, but needs to learn. We can teach by punishment for a perceived slight. Or we can teach in love, showing them, demonstrating a different way. And likewise for the adult, if we know that they have never been taught, we judge through a different lens. If we know their cultural practice is not to make eye contact when speaking to an elder, we see a different sort of respect in a gesture that we might perceive as rude. Love one another. Feed my sheep in love, through understanding that is motivated by perspective. What will help? What can I understand? How can I learn? Those questions like, tell me what is on your heart. How is it with your soul? Teach me about you. And those are the things we all long for. To be known, to be understood and celebrated for what and who we are, not what others presume us to be. And then we are witness to the beauty in each other's broken places. Then we seek each other out. Then we accept. Then we feed. Then we love. Amen. Let's join together in hymn number 343, I Love to Tell the Story.
Thank you.
May you leave from this place with peace on your heart. Go filled with the love of the Spirit, open to love and serve as we have been led. Go ready to love one another, knowing that in life, in death, in life beyond death, God is with us, and we are loved beyond all telling of it. Go in peace.